Yes, because I think where I'm coming from, and maybe this was after I had been scrolling after mom post of like, thank you for growing up with me. Thank you for I wasn't ready to have be a parent because I was still parenting myself. Like, I'm here seeing those posts and those quotes, and then I see that and I'm like, yes. Like, deal with your shit on your own. Don't let it affect your kids. Like,
Here we are again.
Here we are again.
Okay.
Da-da-da-da.
Okay. Well, that'll be the last one for me. It's been nice doing this, but that was the final straw.
Not only is the last podcast, this is the last day of our relationship.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay, so before we get into all these topics, I was driving home today, and I feel like I get into this 4 times a year, 5 times a year. Maybe you can relate. Maybe no one else can relate to this. I don't know. But I'm in that zone of I just want to have like a dramatic life change. I don't know if that's triggered. I really don't think it's triggered by boredom. I think it's triggered by when life is going good. I like want to be fired up with something.
You're bored.
But it's not.
You're just bored.
But it's really not boredom, because I think over the summer when we don't really have much to do,
That's boredom.
I almost like never feel this in the summer. I just want like day to day. It's like when the day to day starts to feel comfortable. Like when the busyness starts to feel comfortable, that's when it's like, oh, I need to add something, or like something else needs to like really throw me for a loop.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
No?
Like, what do you want me to... This is what we're talking about?
This is just one of the first like intro things I wanted to discuss. If you feel this way at all, or I know you like change and you like being dramatic, so I didn't know if you would feel this way about it, where like, we were talking yesterday about, well, I don't care, we were talking about moving, and you kind of like brought up like, well, what if we stay in Florida? And just the like craziness of that, even though like logically I don't want that, just because it's crazy and it would be such a left turn, it like excites me to just like, let's go off the rails and be so random.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people.
Okay.
I think a lot of people have those feelings, but it's just like, it's hard to act on any of that or do any of that. I don't know where that comes from. I think it's boredom. I'm going to double down on that.
Sure.
I think it's just boredom. Like, you're either just tired of what's going on, or it's like it's comfortable and it's consistent and there's nothing that's maybe new and exciting that's enthralling you in anything, that something like that would do all those things. So I think it's just, I don't know. We've talked about it so many times, I feel like, where it's just, yeah, you get this urge to like do something completely different and you want to do it. And there's positives to it and there's negatives to it. The positive is sometimes you're just in a rut, or you're like, you need to change things up to whatever it is, better your life, make it more exciting, become more healthy, whatever. And a lot of the times, like for us, it's detrimental because we can't stay consistent with anything.
Sure.
It's like you're losing consistency if you're changing things up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So maybe it's not that. I know it's not an off thing for me to feel like that, but I was just curious if you...
I think people just do it in their own different ways, or I don't know. Even like the last couple podcasts that I've listened to, I'm like, oh, I want to change my whole workout program now. It's like, well, but you just started this one. If you don't kind of see this through or see what happens with it, you don't give it enough time. Like, how are you going to know if this worked at all? Or it's just you're not being consistent. So then now a month later, you're going to watch another podcast and then change up your whole workout program because of that. It's like you're not creating any consistency to actually take steps forward and move forward.
Okay, and maybe it's just you have a different feeling about that, but to me that's not triggering the same, because like I get excited too about changing things up and new adventures, or like, yeah, new workout programs, new ways of eating, new like information, and then implementing that. That is not the same feeling I'm talking about. The feeling that it is similar to me is that idea of like just escaping and not telling anybody, or like just going somewhere and not letting anybody know, or like you're living a different life. Like it triggers the same spark in me of, because it's also not something that would be put on me. It's something that I'm almost surprising myself. Like if it would be like to stay in Florida, like that would be such a throw me out of the loop. I didn't plan on that. That's not anything that I don't even know if I would want it, but it would be so crazy in my head that that's what excites me, is because it's so.
Yeah, I think it's just a spectrum.
Okay.
Like that's crazy and extreme, and my example is just maybe less than that.
Sure.
But it's the same sort of thing. Like you're just looking to change things, and like the end result is the same. Like you're either going to change it or you're not. You're either not going to be consistent with what you're doing or you are.
Yeah.
I think it's just maybe those things are bigger and require a lot more effort and a lot more change. That they are more exciting, but they're probably also more exciting because they're also, I don't know, more scary or more risk involved.
That's where I think the like staying in Florida type of feeling is the opposite. It feels so safe and so like we're planning on leaving, so that I am like wrapped my head around. To where the staying feels like, oh, you could just like sit in this. Like it's almost like when you decide you're like not going to go to school.
But
you're
it's
like,
a change from what you're thinking your life will be.
Yeah, it seems like an easier
detour.
task.
But it's different from what you're planning on doing.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
It's like yeah, you're planning on moving, and now you were thinking about the idea of it being different than that.
Yeah. Okay.
Not what you wanted to get out of that?
No, and it's not that I was expecting any specific conversation. It's more like I don't think I'm explaining myself well enough. And I'm only saying this because what you're giving back to me, it's like, I don't think that's on the same page, but maybe it's just worth it differently. But I don't, how I'm explaining, I was like, I don't think this is correct, but I'm feeling fine to just skip over it and just move on from it.
I don't care. I don't know what you want.
Let me throw one more example.
Yeah, throw it. Hum a tune over.
Hum a few bars.
Hum a few bars.
Okay, so it's almost like when you are planning, like you have to go into work, and then last minute they're like, actually, we don't have class today. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've been planning on having to go to work and having to go and do this, and now I just like don't have to. The ease in that, and like the less you have to do, and something that you didn't really want to do, like now you just don't have to go.
Yeah. I get it. I honestly, I'm just like, this is just like a cool thing you're telling me. I don't know what to, I don't know what you want me to do with it.
I was in the car thinking about it, and it's like, I wonder if.
Yeah, I guess what is that? Like, what is the question? That's why I don't know what, where to go.
I think it's a two-parter of, do you think a lot of people feel this way? And then also, what do I do about this feeling?
Okay, yeah. I think a lot of people do feel that way.
Okay.
Just like what we said before, just on a spectrum. It's like from very little things to large things. It's like the same thing of like you're planning on cooking and making stuff for dinner, and then the person that you're with is like, why don't we just get pizzas? And you're like, oh, yes, now I don't have to cook or whatever. Okay, great. That's very low scale.
Yeah.
Yours is a very extreme. So I think people do feel that and feel that frequently. I think whether they act on it or not, I don't know. Like, well, and you could argue too, like there's times that maybe it's beneficial or good to act on it and times that it's not. So like with this situation of moving and stuff, is that a good one to act on or is it not? And what was your second question?
Like, what do I do about it?
Like, what do you do about it?
Because this
you
happens.
You analyze it.
It's not like this is like, oh, this just happens with this scenario. Like,
well, you just analyze it. It's like, okay, well, is this something to actually consider then? Like, because I think probably what you're feeling with this situation too is just like relief. The thought of not having to do all of that stuff.
Relief and the excitement of like all those things I thought like I'd be leaving. Now I can just dive into it more. We can still enjoy living here. We can still enjoy all of the things that I don't like not have anymore. It's almost like it's a new reality that just opens up to me.
Yeah. And I think you just have to, I don't know, you have to like pose the question, kind of like what you were doing. It's like, what if we stayed? And then you think about that and you feel those things of like the relief, and you start to kind of map out what things would be going on and happening and how that would feel to you. And you kind of ride that whole, it's almost like you draw that whole picture. And then you most likely already have the other picture drawn of moving and what does that look like and being there. And now you take both pictures and you analyze, okay, like which one am I more willing to do, or I think is going to, I don't know, hit certain like pillars for me. What is happiness wise, financially, I don't know, health wise, maybe. Which things are more important to me right now, and which picture matches those things best? Because sometimes you're looking for like, I really need to be happier, and that's number one priority. Well, which picture does that better? Now cut to 5 years later and it's okay, now it's more about financial. Which one's a better financial decision? Then you put out those pictures again, or you have new ones and you pick which one's better for that. So I think like with this example of moving and stuff, you have to kind of prioritize what things are most important to you, and then having both of those pictures drawn out, you're picking which one fits that better, because either one you're going to miss out on the other. So it's like you just have to come to grips with that right away. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get one of these. I can only get one of them. So that's set in stone. Now, where do I go from here? Priority list, and then which one of these pictures fits better? And I think that picture should be very detailed. Like you should be, what is the financial and what does that look like? What is the, okay, we're not moving. What does our rent look like? What does all of our cost of living look like? How much money are we going to be able to make here? What are we going to have to spend on other random stuff? And then you compare that to the other side. And what is that going to look like on the other side? Well, we have to move. So moving costs, and what's rent going to be over there? And, what kind of work are we going to be able to get or continue to do, and mapping all that out. And then it's like, okay, now we're moving into happiness, and what things do I think will make me happy? What things do I think are going to make me sad? Both sides. You just go down that priority list and you make very detailed pictures of each, and then you kind of pick between the two. Because like obviously that would be a relief to not move, but that one emotion doesn't mean that trumps all of the other stuff.
Sure.
Just like, wow, it'd be really exciting and fun to move. That shouldn't trump all of the other ones. I think you have to build a full picture of both and pick between the two. I think that's where this impulsive thing comes from, is like you feel that one emotion of the relief, and now it's like, okay, I'm going to go with that. And now I'm just going to sit into that.
Yeah, I liked acting upon that.
You didn't build both pictures.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there and you're cut to 5 years later and you're like, oh, I really wish I would have moved. Like, I feel like I missed out on that opportunity or that fun, excitement, whatever, that feeling that I could have gotten. It's like, well, yeah, because you only went off of one emotion.
Yeah. I think it's simple in my head with that. It's like, I think if it wasn't California, then I'd maybe choose to stay just because I do like it here, but also just to scratch that itch of craziness and that, like, let's change it up kind of thing. And the obvious of, like, I like the comfort of here. I like that it feels comfortable and I know what it is. But yeah, I think if it wasn't California, maybe I'd choose that. But because California, it would be hard for me to let that one feeling of crazy outweigh never getting to live there again.
Yeah. Well, it's probably because that picture is more worth it.
Yeah.
Or it hits more of the boxes that you want checked and is able to give you that.
Yeah.
Compared to just like the couple that might be for staying here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Also, the doctor from last episode that I forgot the name of, it's Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh yeah, you brought him up on one of the other ones.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. I'm not good at that.
Remembering names?
I'm horrible at bringing up information because I'm not good at giving credit or citing people because I cannot remember them. Unless they're like in our regular groupings of people. So I saw a quote that I wanted to bring up. It's obviously for parenting, so I want your take on it for parenting, but also just there's like if this should just be a theme with being a person. And the quote was, "Don't let your storm get your kids wet."
Okay.
So
Impossible?
What do you mean?
I don't see how that is likely.
Okay.
What more were you going to say about it?
And maybe I need to reflect because my immediate reading that was like, yes, thank you. Like someone speaking
that I'm
truth.
Just like, that's dumb.
I think, yes, on a grand, like if we're getting...
Well, that's a good point. Like there's a scale to this.
Yes, because I think where I'm coming from, and maybe this was after I had been scrolling after mom post of like, thank you for growing up with me. Thank you for I wasn't ready to have be a parent because I was still parenting myself. Like I'm here seeing those posts and those quotes, and then I see that and I'm like, yes. Like, deal with your shit on your own. Don't let it affect your kids. Like, if you are having kids before you are fully, that I just don't think is real. It's like, you're not going to be, you can't be like, oh, you're complete, so now you can have kids. Like, no, that I don't, it's not real. But
the, like, parenting myself, like, you're doing that till the day you die.
Yeah, and I don't think that should override or, like, I don't want to sound insensitive with it, because I don't want it to sound like, yeah, put your shit to the side, it's all about your kids, like you should have figured this out beforehand kind of thing. That's not what I want to have come off. I liked it because it seemed rational and it seemed like just very black and white. Let's not get into the trauma. Let's not get into the emotions. Let's not get into the excuse almost, which is what I've been like, you know, I need to really change my algorithm, but like that's just what a lot of I'm seeing with all the parenting stuff. It's very rarely like step up to the plate and deal with your stuff on your own and like let your kids still thrive regardless of you're still growing and trying to figure out being a person.
Well, I think I think every generation probably does this, where they pendulum swing so far, or maybe not even generation, but like multiple generations together. This is just another example of how far it swung to the other side of, like, that is what parents used to do, is put their shit to the side always and, I don't know, do what they needed for their kids. And if that meant like, you know, the kids will step on my back to get to the next thing. Like, I will lay myself down for them. That's just not the case anymore, like at all. It's like people just don't want to, not that they don't want to parent, but they don't want to sacrifice their own well-being or goals or success for their kids. And I don't want to be somebody that swings all the way back the other way, but it's like, look, we got a bunch of mopey 30-year-old babies that are complaining about having like their kids and how their kids take their lives away, and they're not going to let that happen, and they're going to like still try to be 22 years old without kids while they have them. It's like, you should be an adult. Like you chose to have a kid. It's your responsibility now. And I guess it's an opinion, but my opinion is you should be putting a lot of your stuff to the side to make sure that they have the best life growing up and can come out to be successful and, I don't know, achieve whatever they want to achieve. And then they do the same thing when they have kids. But the culture is it's so selfish now, where it's like, they'll figure it out on their own. I need to figure out what I'm doing, and we'll just both be figuring out our shit on our own. And it's like, how is that going to be productive? It's one of those old sayings, like, you don't plant the tree to shade yourself. You plant it so that it gives shade for the next generations. It's like, that's parenting. You do things for the next generation of people. But that idea is so not, you know, right now we want to plant the tree and have it grow in 10 days so that we have shade. And we'll do anything we can to do that. And it's like, that culture, it's no wonder everybody is just a bunch of babies and can't handle anything. It's because you're not being an adult. You're not stepping up to the plate. And that type of, I like to a certain point, I like that. Don't let your storm get your kids wet. But there's nuance in it, I think. That's just not going to happen. Like, humans are smart, and you're not always going to be able to hide your storm from your kids.
No.
I think, like, on a small scale or immediate scale, it's like, yeah, if you've had a bad day, don't bring it home and take it out on your kids or take it out on anybody else. It's like, you got to be able to try to control that and manage that, but they're not going to not be affected by what you're doing or saying or whatever. Like, you're a walking storm. Everybody is.
Yeah.
We're all affecting each other all the time. So it's like what you do in a storm. If you're going to go out into it, you take an umbrella or you take a raincoat so you don't get hit by it. It's somebody else's thing. You have to protect yourself from getting wet. And that's probably what you should be teaching your kids, is How do you protect yourself from getting wet?
Yeah.
Not just always like, I need to make sure I don't do anything to them bad or whatever. Because now it's a different type of negative that's happening. Is what you can't be real with them ever?
Well, yeah,
or,
it's like you're giving a fake version to your kids then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think to a certain degree it's great, and then to a certain degree, or the other side of it, it's not. It's like that expectation just seems wrong, but there's also just because you had a bad day, don't come home and piss off your kids. Like, they maybe had good days, and now you're going to take that away from them.
Yeah.
So I like it to a certain degree.
Yeah, I do too. I need to. I think I had my emotions attached in it, of like, yeah, too much. And again, like, obvious disclaimer of non-parents talking about parenting, but that's one thing that you really, like, we did not agree with for so many years, of just like the complaining about how hard parenting is to your kids, or just in general, of you're like, well, but you signed up for this.
Yeah.
Like, oh, them
I still believe that.
Not sleeping and you're complaining about it. It's like, you signed up for this. Them having emotional issues, having tantrums. Oh, you had to like, you signed up for this. I think they're still like, for me, they're still like, okay, yeah, it's, you signed up for it, but you can still, I think, have that common conversation either with yourself or with your partner or with, people that are not your children, of like, yeah, but shit, like, this is still, I signed up for this and I'm totally down for it, but like, wow, like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Just to like bring some sort of, I don't know, just to make, I don't know if it's make you feel better, or just like, let's level with each other. Like, this is crazy, right?
Well, and I think people need to be careful with that,
but to not let that reflect on your kids, to not be like, yeah, you guys took time away from me, or I have to, do this and that. It's like, well, then why did you do this?
Yeah, you don't bring it up to them. You
Right.
have that with whoever you did it with, or maybe somebody you trust. But I think that's where you have to be careful with it, because I think people do think that they're doing that, of like, wow, parenting's hard, right? But they're posting it on social media and phrasing it or saying it in weird ways of like, well, didn't get sleep again because of Samantha. And it's like, you just sound like you're complaining.
Yeah.
You don't sound like, hey, this is crazy, right? Parenting. That's just what it is. It's also just like, I don't know. It's just, why? Like, why do you have to, you don't have to say everything that's on your mind.
Yeah.
Like, you can keep stuff to yourself. And
yeah,
the complaining part, I just don't, when it comes to kids, I don't get it. I love complaining, but I don't like, I don't know. I don't like, I guess, unwarranted complaining, where it's like, yeah, you signed up for it. You haven't heard literally every parent say that they get less sleep when they have kids, or that like,
everything about
you gotta
it is
change
hard.
your diaper. Yeah, literally everything about it is hard. And then you have a kid and you're like, wow. It's like, how are you surprised? Literally every parent ever has said this.
Yeah.
People aren't like on social media or on just wherever telling like, yep, just had a kid. Easiest thing I've ever done. This is crazy. Like, it's amazing how simple this is. The overwhelming majority is like, this is so difficult. And then you're surprised when it actually gets hard.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's just so stupid. It's like walking into a championship game and you're like, this should be really easy. Nobody's ever said that this is like difficult to do. So this should be fine. It's like, no, literally this is the hardest thing ever.
Yeah.
That's where I'm just like, you sign up for this. What do you like? And you all know. Everybody knows this is hard.
Yeah. And I know that that's not, capable for everyone to do. Like, I don't know, like, put a lot of time into yourself before you have kids, or put a lot of time into yourself before, like, and that's why I wanted to extend it beyond kids too, because obviously non-parents talking about parenting, like, I feel like I I liked this idea or liked this rule for just life in general. Like, obviously with a partner, I like to share challenges with life. I think that's kind of part of the benefit of having someone, but it gave me a sense of like, oh yeah, remember self-responsibility or like self-ownership and self-accountability. Like, let's bring it back to that and not have, well, because of X, Y, and Z, this is why I can't have this job. Because of X, Y, Z, this is why, like, I can't, or this relationship stuff, like, whatever it is. I don't know. I think with the parenting thing, it's easier for me to say that because I'm so trying to be so self-aware of that in my 20s of, also, why did I say that so enunciated? In my 20s of prepping myself for the fucked up shit of having children, of the life of that, of the rest of my life having that, of like, okay, get rid of the stupid crap with me. Get rid of the stuff that I don't want to bring into them. Get rid of the things that are not going to help me parent. Get rid, like, physically get myself ready for the challenge of the rest of my life kind of thing. That when it's, you have kids, like, yeah, stuff is going to come up. Life is going to get hard. Things like life is still going to be lifing at you. But I think because you have kids, you have to do it so much quicker because you have to be able to be back on for them. To where now it's like, I just really have to focus on us.
Yeah, nothing depends on us.
Right.
Nothing relies on us. I think that like, don't let your storm, what was it?
Don't let your storm get your kids wet.
Well, and I think that's, like you said, the self-responsibility of that, I think to add to it should be don't let other people's storms get you wet. It's like, that's also being self-responsible.
Yeah.
Because people can go like, don't let your storm get me wet. It's like, no, take responsibility, like, on both ends.
Yeah.
Both people.
Yeah.
Take responsibility. And it's just, if you're always taking responsibility, like, you're able to protect yourself from pretty much everything then. If you're never relying and depending on somebody else to, you know, keep you happy or motivate you or whatever, name the thing, you depend just on yourself for doing everything, like, you're going to have probably a way better success rate because you're not dependent, like, somebody else is going to screw you over, or they are going to get you wet, or they're going to, I don't know, do something to you, or not meet up to your expectations, which I feel like that's probably the main thing. It's just they do something and you're like, wow, I thought they were better, or it's not who I thought they were going to be, and blah, blah, blah. That you take responsibility for every part of it, your storm and avoiding storms, like, you're going to be way better off, way more successful in what you're wanting to do.
Well, because also, like you said, with the kids thing, like, giving them some adversity, I guess. Like, not giving them that because it's just going to happen naturally, but it's also like, yeah, okay, so not everything is perfect around you all the time. Like, that's probably the best thing for you.
Well, I feel like I think we agree on, like, the number one purpose for kids is to prepare them for adulthood, basically. And like, when you think about what happens in adulthood,
it is everybody's
like,
storms.
Giving them some adversity while they're younger is probably going to be smart. It shouldn't be like cruel adversity, or I don't know, just like unwanted, like, I don't know, just like unwarranted stuff. But like, they're gonna have to deal with people who are mean at times, or bosses who are controlling and dictators, and they're gonna have to do the dishes and do the laundry and stuff like that. And I don't think it's like make your kids do a bunch of stuff all the time, but when you're telling them to, hey, can you pick up the toys, and they're freaking out, it's like, okay, no, I'm not going to just let this go. You can't handle a little bit of adversity of picking up the toys. Like, okay, we're behind. Like, we need to slowly start to pick this thing up, because you're going to get told what to do your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I not prepare them for that? That's where I think if you can find almost like double stacking or like multiple layers of adversity things, like you said, there's going to be a lot of natural ones that come, but like, I don't know, things that have multiple lessons within them, that's where the bang for your buck is going to be.
Yeah.
Instead of just like the little stupid stuff that just doesn't really do much, I guess. Where it's like, I don't know, it's like you're asking them to do something just so small and little, and it's not really teaching them anything.
Yeah.
And those are hard to figure out or manage, because everybody's got their own opinions on them. But like, my parents never made us clean our room. That wasn't something that had to be done. And I think to me, that's something that just, I don't see the like layers of lessons within that. But listening to a podcast recently, I think it was Jocko, he brought that example up of kind of brought up the layers of it, of like asking them to clean up their room, and if they don't, okay, that's fine or whatever, and things go on, and then all of a sudden they're rushing out the door and they need their backpack, or they need a toy or a sweatshirt or something, they can't find it. And that's kind of that layer of like, hey, this is why we keep our room clean and know where we're putting things and organizing, because now when you're in a rush, you're prepared and you know where everything is at. You can capitalize on that and get what you need and go.
Yeah.
Or when you're not organized, you're scrambling, and then you're scrambling even more, and now you're wasting even more time in this kind of pressure-ish situation, in this high-stress situation. And it was like, oh, okay, now I can kind of understand the cleaning the room thing. So I like things like that where there's multiple meanings or multiple lessons within it, and not just giving adversity just to, I don't know, just to be mean. Like, I'm sitting here and it's like, go get me something from the fridge. And they're like, no, I don't want to. And it's like, no, you need adversity. Go.
Sure.
It's like, what is that teaching or doing?
Right.
Really nothing. It's just you, I don't know, being,
or like,
you're manipulating the idea.
To me, it's so dependent. And it's also so dependent on, in my head, their age and just like what we know about kids too. Like the cleaning the room thing, I was always like, who cares? Or like, it's your space, you do what you want with it. That was kind of my approach before. But learning more about how kids develop their proprioception and their nervous system responds to that, like some stuff like that is like, you're teaching them the tools that their body needs before they know the importance of it. So then it just starts to become a habit for them. Like kids, supposedly based off of studies, so like kids walking into a room that's clean and has minimal things allows them for the fun, the creative, the things that their brain is already naturally wanting to do, but their awareness of space is also, it relaxes their nervous system because they don't see a bunch of whatever trash around it. It's like overstimulating to them. It's like, well, is that why they're sleeping funky? Is that why whenever they go in their room, like they're starting to be a brat or whatever? It's like, no, you probably not going to go to your 2-year-old or your 3-year-old and be like, well, are you feeling jazzed right now? Maybe it's because you have all your toys everywhere. That's why we got to clean up. It's like, just tell them to clean it up, and they might have a fit about it, but it's like, I'm doing it for the health of your brain and your body so that you can feel comfortable and do what you do, which is have fun and play and be magical. That's all you have to do. I am giving you the tools so that you can do that even more and to the fullest. But even with that being said, if they have a messy room and they still seem like they're thriving, and we're as parents picking up on those little intricacies that's not happening, it's like maybe they do thrive in more of a clutter for some reason. Maybe they like that. Or it's like, what are our pillars? Like, food is really important to us, activity is really important to us. Even if our kids do not like to be active or go on walks or do little workouts with us or whatever, I think I'm going to push that, because that's just something that's very important for me. But if they don't want to do something else that's like, doesn't want to read or doesn't want to do, it's like, okay, I'm not going to make you just to make you.
Yeah, it's not a pillar. Like,
yeah.
And another family may have that as the pillar.
Yeah. Like taking your dishes to the sink and cleaning them. I would much rather you help me cook. I'll do the dishes.
Yeah.
If you do it all, great. And we make it fun and we figure out a system and like handle your own. But if it means I'm doing the dishes so you can play 50% of the time longer, okay.
Well,
that's going to develop you also.
I like the idea of, even at that young age, like giving them the explanation. It's kind of like we were talking about a couple days ago of watching podcasts and not understanding any of the stuff they're talking about, really. Like health podcasts or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's something to listening to stuff that's a little bit out of your league and continuing to listen to it, because you're going to pick up on certain things and context clues, and it's also just, how do you learn? You don't learn by only reading, watching, listening to stuff that you already know. That's not going to do anything for you. It's listening to stuff you don't know. And even if it's like way over their head, I think that repetition will speed up the process, and maybe things click at certain times that help them understand like why we want to try to have the room clean, or like the toys picked up at whatever times. Maybe it's like before dinner or something. And being able to explain to them, like, you see how like you're kind of sad or angry or freaking out, like this is a symptom of having this clutter. And because of this big clutter and then me asking you to pick it up, it's overwhelming to you. It seems like it's a lot. It's too much. Like, just being able to explain those things, I think, is going to help down the line when you go, hey, could you pick up the toys? And they start freaking out. And you're like, this is why I want you to pick up the toys. And they're going to be like, oh, yeah. Like, that's why.
It might take you 200 times saying that before
totally.
they make the connection.
But like, how do you want them to be prepared or not?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I don't understand is this. You want them to be prepared, so you'll do anything to get them prepared.
Yeah.
You don't do it once or twice and then give up. Yeah. And it's like, oh, they'll figure it out. It's like, no, they won't. Like, we know adults that can't do things because they didn't learn it as a kid, or like they didn't fight through the adversity. They didn't see the reasoning for it. Like, that's the goal, is to prepare them. So if it takes 200 times, it takes 200 times. Who cares? Yeah. And I think the earlier that you're trying to have that conversation with them, and like, you may be talking way over their head and they don't understand what overwhelming means, but they'll start to pick up context clues just like you do as an adult. I think we think kids are not able to learn at such young age when they're just a human. Like, they're going to, through repetition and practice and consistency. If you're telling them the same things over and over and over again, like, they're going to pick it up. They're going to understand what you're saying at some point.
That's why I think that kind of stuff, actually, kids are easier to teach because they're more connected to themselves because they're so all about them. That adults, like, I've had a kid, like, I was teaching them something, I could just tell she was struggling with it, but she wasn't like getting frustrated like some kids was, but she was just like starting to kind of disconnect. And I was like, what do you think is going on? And she's like, my brain just feels fuzzy. It's like, it's blurry. It doesn't really make sense. Something isn't connecting to. She's like, I don't know, my brain just feels fuzzy. Like, yeah, whatever way you say there, like, if it is the overwhelming, like, you know, what does your body feel like? What does that feel like to you? And then us as parents can use that verbiage of,
Yeah.
you know, like I remember teaching Poppy, and every time she would get really stressed if she didn't get something, we called them magic breaths, but we would just like take a deep breath, like breathe through our chest and then breathe through our stomach. And that just always tended to work for her. So like we would do these magic breaths, and she would tell me like if she feels like the anger, she said something where it like made her heart feel like a rock or something like that. Like she made it like really firm or something. She's like, I was like, okay, then when you do the magic breaths, like what does it feel? She's like, it makes me feel like I have bubbles in my tummy. It's like, okay, then I will use all of the words.
Yep.
Like I don't need to say, well, your nervous system is flaring up right now and that's what's making you anxious and uncomfortable. It's like,
because they understand that.
Does your stomach feel like a rock or your heart feel like a rock and now you want your belly to feel like bubbles? Like, okay, then let's connect that to them. It's like most of the time that's probably what we're feeling as adults too, but we don't know how to put the words to it. To our kids, they're like, this is exactly what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I just don't know what words you're describing, but I'm locked in what I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. You're getting light on you from outside.
Does it look bad?
It's like streaks across your face. I would maybe just turn that chair like more towards me, because I think that wing might block you then. Well, and I think you kind of notice that too. Like parents use their kids' terminology all the time. Oh, it's like back, you don't have it. In the middle, you do. Forward, you don't. So you just gotta. Well, now you're weird on the camera. Good. If you just stay leaning back. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's funny when you're using kids' terminology for things, and they're like, "What is that?" I mean, it's like, I don't know. We both know what it means. Nobody else in the world maybe knows what it means, but we're on the same page. It's also like bubbles in my stomach. What? I think everybody doesn't want that.
But it's like as a kid, like maybe she likes bubbles, so her version of something that makes me happy is in my body.
Yeah.
So it's like, so she feels happy, she feels calm, or like whatever.
You'll have to like, yeah, really relax.
I'm pressing my back, gluing my head to the chair. Yeah.
Cool.
Our kids are gonna suck probably.
Yeah, probably. They're gonna be annoying. No, they're not gonna be annoying.
We can't. We'll make them not annoying. They might be annoying to other people.
Yeah,
but we'll just make them so that we're not annoying to us.
I'm just gonna keep going. Lines. 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 What other brain busters do you have?
I didn't have a brain buster, but I did have a quote that I thought was kind of cool in talking about trauma. So I guess I'll just bring up a bunch of things and you tell me what you think.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire, but not rapid. 20 minutes each. Okay, the difference between, and this is from Seerut. I'll spell it. Seerut. That's the first name. Last name Chawla. Shaula? Okay, whatever. The difference between trauma and victimhood. Being impacted by what happened to you isn't victimhood, it's human. Making an identity out of it, that is victimhood.
Repeat for the audience.
For a friend?
Not me, I got it off the first one.
Being impacted by what happened to you isn't victimhood. Let me do that again. Being impacted by what happened to you. Now I'm trying to do it. Okay. Being impacted by what happened to you.
Jesus Christ. How many times you can say being impacted?
Being impacted by what happened to you isn't victimhood. It's human. Making an identity out of it, that is victimhood.
You know what I've learned about myself?
You don't care about anything that I have to say.
I learned that about 7 years ago, but I don't like these absolute quotes.
Okay.
It's like happiness is joy unless joy is happiness. It's like, what? Some of it's just like, what are you even talking about? It's like, no,
Yeah.
it's obviously way more than that. Like, you're trying to sum it up in one sentence. No.
Okay. I think where I was taking it, and maybe that's where I need to expand, like maybe I was just very first thought and that's what I went with, just like the other
Yeah,
quote.
we're not on the same page with
Quotes
these.
seem to be just like, I'm really like, yeah, that makes sense.
Every single one of them you see.
But what I took from it was like all of the titles that people are giving now. Like, you know, I'm a blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, are you, or are you just having a sliver of a human reality and this is like you're a little mixed bag of everything?
Yeah.
It's like, what word is being thrown around so much lately?
Yeah. And everybody attaches to it.
Yeah. And it's just like, it is a way to feel probably a community and feel connected to something and give yourself an answer. But
that, to me, that right there, that shows how weak you are. You are so obsessed with finding something to connect to or to attach to because you feel so lonely. It's like, this is my word of the last like 3 or 4 podcasts. You are just perpetuating this loneliness by continuing to attach to things that are through a freaking phone, through quotes on a phone, through communities on a phone. It's like, go out and talk and be with people. People used to go out Friday night and mingle or talk to other people or go with friends, whatever. To where now everybody's just behind their phone. It's like, no wonder nothing's changing. Like, you are just, like you said, there's like a word of the month or a identity of the month and everybody attaches to it. This last 2 years has been trauma.
well, I'm saying like trauma is the word, but like trauma to me is like the theme. It's everybody is a narcissist in the last too many months.
There you go.
Everybody is a gaslighter. Everybody's
That's what gets so annoying about these words is they're good words, or they're like, they sum a lot of things up into one and it's awesome, but then they just get abused for the next year. And it's like you said, narcissist or gaslighter. Now everybody's a gaslighter. Now it's all about avoiding gaslighters. Now everybody's a narcissist and you got to avoid narcissists. And it's like the people that are making posts talking about narcissists are just trying to find other people to talk to about narcissists, or just like they're just trying to connect. It doesn't matter the word. Take any word and throw it in there. The next thing could be avocado. It's like when everybody started using the fucking avocado emoji, or everybody started eating avocados like 5 years ago. It's like you're just so lonely and obsessed with being connected to other people, but you continue to do it through this medium that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like is like we're taking serious topics about victimhood or trauma or whatever, and we're making them so small and insignificant because it's not even about the thing anymore. It's just about your lack of awareness to fix your loneliness.
Yeah.
And now millions of you are abusing it.
And I think what the goal of the community, but also the goal of trying to give people answers and give people clarity on what they are feeling, that also blurs the lines, because, you know, you're, I'm a 50-50 person. 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 I'm you know, it's like everyone's saying they're depressed. Everyone's saying they have anxiety. It's like, no, there are people that are depressed. There are people that have anxiety. There are people that are actually feeling these things that if you, I'm not, again, trying to like be mean with it, but if you're someone that is like, oh, I'm nervous. Like that gives me anxiety. Or it's like, I'm just having a little off day. Like I'm feeling depressed today. It's like, you're making something that's so serious so not serious, and then the person that actually is experiencing that and wanting to get clarity on what the hell is going on with me because I don't know, they have something to actually connect to and be able to work on then, and to be able to like understand what's physically happening and mentally happening. But then they see this person like, what, that's anxiety or that's depression? Like I'm what I'm experiencing is way worse than that. Yeah. And if that's that, like, then I no longer have that. Now I'm back at square one of like, what is wrong with me?
To where the actual real like connection that person needs of you understand what I'm going through, they aren't getting that because everybody's saying they're depressed. And like you said, they see somebody else and they're like, well, that's not at all what I'm going through. My stuff is like, I can't get out of bed for 10 days. And you're just like walking around going to the grocery store saying the grocery store makes you depressed. Like, we're not even on the same thing.
Yeah.
And you're totally minimizing what this word and what I'm feeling because you're lumping yourself into what I'm dealing with. And it's because you're lonely and just want to connect. And I'm lonely and want to connect, but you're abusing this term. Now I got to find another term because...
And the person that actually has the problem doesn't have, like, they're now back at square one being lonely too. Because they're like, exactly. Well, I'm dealing with this.
They're not validated at all.
No.
It's like they're even more like pushed out into the abyss.
Yeah.
Because they can't figure out what this thing is. And it's because, well, everybody's got trauma now. Everybody's a victim or everybody's a narcissist and everybody's depressed and anxious. And it's like, now what do those people do? They're actually going through stuff.
Yeah.
And how many people, I think we just talked about this stuff recently too, how many people are just making their anxiety worse by continuing to say they have anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you didn't even have it in the first place. You had a bad day. And now you're actually giving yourself anxiety because you have identified with it.
Yeah.
Or you're actually depressed now because you've identified with being depressed.
Yeah.
And you've just like working a muscle and getting it stronger, you've just made that identity about you stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't even have it in the first place.
And that's why I kind of see the quote of like the victimhood thing is like, to be a victim, you are... what's the phrasing? Like, you are at the negative, or you do not have the power in that situation. You are something that is like, it is put upon you, but it's like you're putting yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
By making it your identity, by making it like, this is who I am and this is only who I am.
Well, and that's what's weird though, is like it's
like now you're locking yourself in the jail cell.
With the word victim, like we've totally changed the meaning of the word. We've made it so almost like, don't be that, even though it wasn't your choice to begin with.
Explain.
Like if you take it to how it's been commonly used as being a victim, it's usually a victim of a crime. And sure. You being a victim of a crime was you had no choice over what happened to you.
Yeah.
And you didn't do anything wrong. And this, whatever thing happened to you, you didn't have a choice. That's the whole point of the word, is you had no choice. To where now we're going, well, don't be a victim about it. It's like, but that's not what the word even means. You don't have a choice to not be it or be it. It's not your choice. So now we've hijacked this word and made it about something else. And now everybody's using it. And now nobody understands what the frickin' word is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it wasn't your choice to begin with. Maybe use other words that actually make sense. Don't sulk in things that happen to you. Like, you can pick other things or phrases or whatever, but don't take a word and make it not mean what it actually means now.
Right.
It's like, don't be a victim. Well, ask a victim, hey, just don't be that. It's like, well, it happened to me. I had no choice. I got shot in the leg.
Right.
Well, don't be a victim. It's like, I couldn't have done anything.
It's not a feeling.
Yeah, exactly. We've completely changed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's happening with narcissists too. It's like,
I don't even know what that word means.
Or depression or anxiety. It's happening with all these words. The actual meaning of the word gets changed, or it even just like gets really lightened. So now it just fits everybody.
Is narcissist just like is it like selfishness, or is it like?
I think that to a very extreme level. I think narcissist is that type of, it's like extreme selfishness mixed with like, you don't care about the consequences of what your actions are or other people. But like truly do. Not just like, yeah, I made a decision that was for me and I kind of feel bad about it, so I guess I'm a narcissist. It's like, no, a narcissist wouldn't feel bad about it. They would make it completely okay. Everything they did was completely okay.
Got it.
And there was no negative side effects to it.
So like they almost like have like that self-manipulation tactic in their brain where they can spin the story or spin reality for it to like be in their favor, kind of.
Yeah. Well, it's like everything's about them. Everything's about them and for them, and like nobody else exists. And the decisions that they make have no negative consequences to anybody else. They don't see that. But again, like they truly don't see that. It's not just like, oh yeah, one of my friends is like, you know, kind of a narcissist. It's like, no, he's probably not.
I was saying, I don't think I've ever met anybody that's been like fully like that. I could see examples where everyone I know has a sliver of that, but like in some moments.
That's just selfishness.
Yeah.
It's like, again, use a different word.
Yeah.
It's like people are like, oh, I'm kind of depressed. It's like, read a book. Like, get a better vocabulary. Yeah. You're kind of depressed? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That I kind of have anxiety about that. Oh, so you're a little bit nervous sometimes. It's like, stop. Like you're abusing the words. Yeah. You're making them mean things that they don't mean. And you're lightening the punch of them. The seriousness of them.
Yeah.
They're not people that actually have it. It's like, oh, whatever. Apparently everybody's depressed, so I'm actually depressed, but everybody is, so I guess it doesn't really mean anything.
And that's where I don't know if that's just human nature or it's just people I tend to know or people just in the world, not like personally, but just like I've seen this trait happen is, okay, so then when okay, everybody has this now. Well, I still want to feel special. I still want to feel unique. Or even like, I still need an answer to what the fuck is going on with me. So now I need to up the bar. It's like, I am depressed and have anxiety. It's like, is that where that came from? Like, maybe that is two in the same from what I know from what your body is physically doing. It's not, but it's like, did that simply, it's like, you always hear that as like, that's a combo deal now.
Oh, and
I have anxiety and depression. Like, you just have it both.
And throw trauma in there now.
So it's like, okay, so is that just a wanting up because so many people said they had this and they're like, but I'm actually feeling that. So now I guess I'll tack anxiety on. Oh, now I guess I'll tack ADHD on. Now I guess I'll tack that I was a victim of this. Now I'll tack childhood trauma, childhood stress response, like whatever. It's like, you just keep adding to your portfolio because it's like, well, everybody's having what I have, but that can't be right. Yeah. So now I just need to like add something else to one up everybody else. Yeah.
And that's what, there's a lot of people that, maybe not, I shouldn't say a lot, but there are actually people going through that stuff and they actually have it. It's not the majority. The majority of people are lonely and want attention and they can't learn or figure that out yet. And they are making themselves anxious. They're making themselves depressed. They're like, they're saying they have traumas and they're creating traumatic stories to just prove their point more when they don't actually have any of these things.
Yeah. I think a positive, at least for what I'm taking out of all this, is I'm just trying to be conscious of my words and like what you always like, have your word have integrity, like actually understand what you're saying. Like I don't even like saying I'm stressed a lot of times, and maybe that's also worked in the negative. Like I don't think I have any stress ever, and then I don't really reflect on a lot of things. But it's like I don't even like when someone says like, does that stress you out? I'll be like, it just makes me a little funky. Like I don't even want to say that stresses me out, because I've been stressed. Me having a little kerfuffle of something, no, that's not stress. It just like I have to figure something out. And that's okay. It doesn't need to be even negative at all. Or even if it is negative, it doesn't need to be, I'm stressed. Same thing with childhood stuff. It's like, yeah, I think my childhood was a little bit harder than what my adult life is. That's also been awesome. Like, it's making my adult life really easy. But I don't want to go, oh, well, I had all this childhood trauma. It's like, no, I was 10 and not emotionally mature dealing with life. Or I was 7 dealing with life. It's like, it could have been easy breezy. You're 7. It's going to be a little funky.
And I think that's where, like I said about the quote, I just don't like absolutes.
Yeah.
I live so in like
gray area.
Yeah. Like I'm just like trying to float everywhere, because even that, like the childhood trauma stuff or things happening when you're 10 or stuff, like I don't think there's enough of like, yeah, you were 10 and things are weird and you don't understand them. That's every 10-year-old.
Well, but even maybe not. That's also so like individual experience. Like maybe, I mean, like you look back at your childhood. Mm-hmm. I feel like when we talk about that, you're like, it was kind of fine.
Oh yeah, it was very normal. Well, because that's my view. That's my.
So it's like you're not looking back at you at 10 or what, pick a random age. I'm not saying like something happened to me when I was 10. It was just that was the first age that came to my head.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't seem like there was a lot of things that you can call upon. You're like, that was really fucked.
Well, and I guess this is. Thank you. You're just at hey, thanks. You're just going into.
It's not absolute.
My next point is like. Nothing did happen my whole childhood, basically, that that's most people.
Well, calm down.
Well, calm down. There would be so many more crazies, or like, I think this is where we have to use a little bit of common sense. Where it's like everybody's pretty normal walking around managing and doing everything. We make it very extreme, like everybody's got something. And it's like, no, we're probably all very in the middle. Or lean a little bit one way, lean a little bit the other way. Some people maybe had Here's my point. There's an average of what childhood was like. I think my childhood was very average compared to everybody else. I think that way because when you talk to other people about their childhoods, it's very much like mine. Nothing major really happened. You maybe had a grandparent or two die. I don't know. Maybe this one thing happened and it was frustrating and hard, but okay, whatever. Like there's some stories, but there's not overwhelming a lot. It's very average.
Yeah.
And then the way that I view it and look at it is that it was very average. I don't now take that average story and make it this big whole, yeah, I had this happen and that happen and that's why I have anxiety and depression now and blah, blah. Like what you were saying about the stress. You don't even like saying that things stress you out. I don't like doing that either. I don't like saying, oh, that makes me anxious, or that's a trauma of mine, or whatever. Because, like what we've talked about before, you can create that reality in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I want to create an identity that is anxious and depressed and had a bad childhood and had trauma everywhere and I'm a narcissist or there's narcissists all around me everywhere? It's like, why would I want to live in that life? So why would I why would I almost trick myself into thinking that that is reality?
Sure.
Even if all of those things were true and did happen, still, why would I want to live that life?
Right. Yeah.
Because the brain is so powerful in getting you to believe whatever you want to believe. There's people that believe the earth is flat. There's people that believe that it's not. You could find evidence for both. Just pick one and start believing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you will literally start believing it.
Yeah.
With enough time and practice and consistency. So just don't.
Yeah.
I had an average childhood. That's what I'm going to believe. I could start going, I had the best childhood ever. It was better than anybody else's. It's like that would maybe make my life better if I started thinking that.
Yeah.
But now you start to get into like, oh, you're just inauthentic, or like you're not in reality now.
Sure.
But I think more people are on the other end of the spectrum where they want to be unique and they want their life to be so bad because that gives them more attention and that gives them more clout of, oh, you had a way worse childhood than I did. Like, it's that whole idea of them going through more pain makes them like more, I don't know, like seen as more evolved maybe or stronger or whatever. But it's so manufactured.
Yeah.
And not really worth anything.
Yeah. I think if it's a dangerous situation, then don't lie to yourself. But like, that's kind of what I've been doing with the childhood stuff since I've been getting older, is just like, even just like the verbiage. Like, I don't like when people say trauma, but like, I don't have a frame of reference for people's childhoods because I'm all like, people that I talk to, it's like, they're not giving you the full story all the time. Maybe they're not giving you the details. It's also like where we grow up. What if I talk to somebody, in a different location? It's like, I don't even know what the average is so probably crazy that I just go like, okay, whatever was maybe hard or I have bad memories of, I'm just changing the verbiage football style to like, that was adversity. Like, I was given adversity, not like, oh, I had to deal with that, or, oh, that sucks, or poor me. It's like, yeah, I had good adversity. Because adversity to me is like, I probably came out on top. Or like, I probably learned something from it.
And I think that's a great way to not lie about what the situation was, but still make it positive.
Yeah.
Like, still make it something that is benefiting you in life. Because what is benefiting you by going like, I have anxiety and I just can't do anything about it? Or like, that makes me anxious. That makes me anxious. Okay, what proactive steps are you doing to solve that? It's like, could one of them be stop saying you have anxiety? Because you're continuing to tell yourself you do? Because maybe if you just stopped, you would lose that identity and then those things wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
But like you're saying with the adversity thing, like, oh yeah, it was just adversity when I was younger. It's like, you're not lying about the situation or not like validating maybe the weight of it. Or you are validating the weight of it, but then you're spinning it to be something that like is good and it made you better, or it's seen as that.
Yeah.
So like, that's so much better than, yeah, I had all this childhood trauma and all this stuff happened to me, and it's like, yeah, what are you doing with it though? Like, it sounds like you're just talking about it. You're not like doing anything to make it a benefit to you.
Right.
Because you can find any way to make it a benefit to you.
Oh, yeah. So we talked about in the last episode of you guys getting yelled at so much in football. It's like, no one was like, oh, the trauma of being a kid and getting yelled at by your coach. You're all
I'm
like,
sure there's some.
I had an awesome coach who yelled at me and he cared and like he made me tough.
Well, it's like how many life lessons that have come from
Oh my God.
just those situations. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I going back
Towards
to the
like
kid
to
thing,
some people that's like you were emotionally abused. Remember that. You're emotionally abused because you got screamed at in front of a room full of people.
Yeah, and
It's like
if somebody were to tell me that, I'd be like, you are such a pussy. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I was told. Hey, quit being a puss. Like,
Yeah.
step up, make the tackle, or,
Yeah,
do what
let
you
me
need to do.
you.
Yeah. They're just drawing one on top of me on the film. But it's like, I don't get why people are so okay with being weak like that. Like, where is maybe it's because it's lumped into like the toxic masculinity stuff, but it's like, how come people don't want to be tough anymore? They don't want to be able to handle hard things.
I think because, I mean, not personally. To me, that's why I had to like again start switching my view on the childhood stuff because it's like it didn't build my self-esteem. It didn't build my confidence. Thinking like, oh well, I just remember when you had to deal with all that. It's like I got so many good benefits from all that as well. You know, it's like the podcast that we did with Kara. It's like, yeah, okay, I had to be a little bit more emotionally on top of my shit because you weren't, and maybe our parents were struggled with that. So like, I just needed to figure my shit out. It's like, oh, I could see it's like, poor me, I didn't get nurtured as a kid to feel my stuff. It's like, okay. Also, I'm probably gonna be rock star at that with parenting. Like, I'm good with putting my shit to the side or pausing it and dealing with it very quickly and slowly quickly and quietly. And like, I'm able to show up for you. Like, I'm able to show up for people even when it's not best for me. It's like, that's a great tool. And I got so much practice of that as I'm developing my own maturity and emotions as a kid.
Well,
like,
and
that's awesome.
And that's probably something, just even that, like, that thought process and almost like equation that you just made that would be helpful for everybody is, what is the thing that's bad that was happening? Now, what skills did that teach you or give you? Because on the flip side, because I feel like there's a rare amount of times where like bad or difficult, hard things didn't teach you something. You just maybe haven't put a finger on what it is. And I think like having that sort of thought process of like, okay, these things were bad, but what did I learn because of it? And what tools do I naturally have now? Mm-hmm. Or not even naturally. What tools did I learn because of those situations that I seem to very easily be able to apply now that other people can't? It's like, other people can't do that. They can't just drop everything and do something for somebody else, especially when they don't want to. It's like, you're able to do that when you really don't want to, or you don't like the person, mm-hmm. or it's not a good scenario for you. That's a crazy good skill. And that's going to help in so many other areas, because it's just, even in the basis, it's like you don't just think about yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you're thinking about other people. That's super helpful. No wonder everybody likes you, because
Thanks.
Well, not me, but you talk to other people and actually care about what they have to say or think, because you had this practice.
Yeah.
Because it's been about other people.
Yeah.
To where there's a lot of people that they weren't forced into that situation and didn't have to learn how to do that and how to be okay with that. Because I'm sure there's a ton of times where you're like, gosh, I just want to freak out and maybe did freak out and like take all the attention right now.
Yeah.
And make everything about me and what I need. And it's like, look at how many repetitions you were able to get of that now when somebody needs something, it's like, yeah, okay, cool. Or for some people, that's like, no, me first.
Well, in a weird way, it's like to be able to reflect back. Like, I think that's a great challenge for people. Like, reflect back on those times, whether it's childhood or just like you as a younger self or even 2 weeks ago, whatever. Like, it's a hindsight thing. Like, the trauma thing is hard for me to wrap my head around because I don't have the emotion. I try to not have the emotions attached to it now, so I can just see it from that. Like yeah, it's like, oh, I didn't have the attention when it was negative. So it's like, okay, maybe the bad spin on that is like, I don't take criticism. I don't take bad feedback because no one was ever looking at anything that I was doing bad because I was just trying to be perfect all the time. But there's also still a positive of that of, I still am a kid and want attention, I'm going to really push that into dance. Like, when I'm at dance, I want to be the star and I will do anything to be the center of attention here. And it's like, that's a great skill. I'm comfortable in that. I feel good in that. That builds confidence.
What motivated you in a direction that's positive?
Right. And it's because, like, I never rebelled. I never, like, went crazy to get attention. It seemed like I very much pushed it in that way. And it's like, but as I'm 10 doing that, I'm not like, I'm redirecting my anger and I'm going to direct it into dance. And that's where I'm going to shine because I'm not getting attention. Like, I'm not doing that. But the adults that are talking about this or complaining about it or saying that they have all this trauma, like, we should hopefully have the emotional maturity and insight to be able to look back on those things and go, wow, that's so cool that I got all those tools that are making now current life so much freaking easier.
And I think that's why I don't like how
it's like thanking your younger self, like, cool, thanks for giving me that.
I don't like how these phrases or terms get brought up, and it seems like a lot of it comes from the therapy area. Just because that's what people are interested in now is the mental health stuff. It seems like the more attention and focus we put to mental health, the worse people are getting.
I think that's a blanket statement, but I can agree to a sliver of that. I don't think that it's like everybody that does therapy is getting worse.
No, I don't think everybody, but what I'm saying is it seems like the more attention that's put towards mental health, people aren't necessarily getting better. Not everybody, but it doesn't seem like we're going in a positive direction with it. And maybe that's because it's coupled with social media, because it's like everybody wants to share what they're going through in therapy or new things, or I don't know, just like these terms and phrases and things they're maybe learning or whatever. But again, it just turns into this seeking connection and getting out of the loneliness thing. That now it's just about attention, and I don't know, it doesn't seem like it's helping as a whole. I think it's helping for some people, and probably for the people that, I don't know, maybe are taking it very seriously and are not like sharing about it on social media or having to tell everybody in their circle about it or whatever. They're like keeping it for their own self-growth and everything. But it just seems like it's another thing that's been taken over by the culture to just get likes and views and, some sort of connection or whatever. Like, it's just been hijacked.
Yeah, well, maybe another thing that's been misused. It could have amazing benefits.
Right. Because, I mean, I don't know. There's something to be said about before all this mental health stuff, how many people had anxiety and depression? We didn't know because people weren't really talking about it, but probably probably much less than what is claimed to be now. And that's part of my, I don't know, theory, I guess, is like, it's just the catchy thing to do now, and people are claiming they have all of these things, and now they're actually putting themselves, now they're actually having them because they just want to be a part of the group. So they start, it's just like, oh, you got the new pants that are in style, I got to go get them too. And now everybody's got them. It's like, well, they're not like unique or valuable or serious anymore if everybody's got them.
Sure. Well, it's kind of like what I don't know who was saying it, but like the whole doing what's the drug that people take? That's like for therapy. Not the
for therapy?
MDR, what, not that one. The one that you go through it with like a shaman.
Oh, I almost said ashwagandha.
I know, that's what I keep thinking. I was like, that's not right.
I know, it gets brought up all the time.
I know.
I know what you're talking about. I'll try to think of it.
Okay. But it's like, so someone was talking
Somebody's screaming into the computer.
someone was talking about that, of like how even that in ancient times was a benefit, or like to certain cultures, and now it's like it's just the cool girl Malibu thing to do. Where like you go to a cool penthouse, or you go to this big house on the beach, and you're with this girl that's just like in a bunch of beads, and she gives you the stuff, and then you just like trip for an afternoon, like, and then you're like, I came out a better person. It's like that person gets in their car and goes back to their same habits, same behavior, same way of living. They just think because they experienced this thing or they talked about it, now it's different.
Yeah.
But it's like we see that in health and fitness all the time. Like, okay, you talk about, I know I need to eat healthier. I get that exercise is important, so I'm different now. It's like, right. You still have to do the work for it. And that's where I think maybe this therapy stuff isn't as enriching as I think what
it probably was level, 10 years ago.
Yeah, like what it's supposed to do for people is, because we're also in a very lazy society right now. Yeah. It's like, you just want to talk about it. And I do think there's a benefit to still being able to vocalize it and to put like, oh yeah, I am fucked up a little bit, or like I need help, or I'm experiencing things that are, whatever. But to then not take action on it, that's where you don't build back it's like the confidence thing and it's the self-esteem thing. You can't just get confidence. You can't just get self-esteem. You have to do actions that build self-esteem. You have to do actions that build confidence. It's the same way with dealing with your mental health. You have to take actions to do the opposite. Otherwise, you're just going to be sitting in the same, I want to say soup. You're sitting in the same sad soup
you're just in
that
the soup.
You've been in. Like, the actions that got you into a low mental state, those are actions. You have to do positive actions to get yourself in the opposite.
Yeah, totally. But I think...
And going to therapy and just talking about it isn't the action. That's just what's supposed to give you clarity of what you should work on. That's like going to a trainer. That's going to a personal trainer. Yeah, they're just giving you the guidance of, okay, this is the work you have to do to achieve this. Your therapist should be, this is the work we need to do to get you to here.
Right.
Not
you
just
still
come
have
here.
To do it.
Yeah.
It's not just talking about it. Yeah, totally. I had something to say, but I can't remember. Yeah, that's very true. That's just like getting a trainer. Yeah, I don't remember what I was going to say. I still can't think of what that thing is.
It's really bothering me.
It's not ashwagandha. It's something with an A. It's got to be. Ashwagandha, alfalfa. I don't know. I don't know. And this podcast is coming to a screeching halt.
It's going to drive me nuts.
I think the therapy thing is like... Oh, that's what I was going to say. You had mentioned the people that it's like people that go to the gym and then they start talking about it or vocalizing it, that they're going again or are going. And you would likely see that tend to fizzle out. And I think that's where I kind of have a different view on it. Is I would suggest to not talk about it, to not post about it. I think there's that almost a motivation, or again, it's just that like needing connection or needing validation that like you went to the gym. It's like you've been going to the gym for a week and now you start posting about it. You're posting workout videos or pictures or whatever, and I feel like when you see that, it's just like, oh, it's going to be done soon. Whether it's in a month or 6 months or 2 months, whatever. You're doing it for the wrong reasons now already. It's like you've already been bitten by the snake. And it's that social media, I need validation. You're already seeking outside of yourself by posting and vocalizing and talking about it. It's like, do it in the frickin' dark. It's like, have some seriousness about it. I think we don't have any embarrassment anymore of what you post or what you talk about. And it's like, you need to keep important stuff to yourself. It's like you should share that stuff lightly, not all the time and for everybody to see everywhere. Because I think, again, it loses its value because everybody's doing the same thing. Oh, you posted your workout picture after working out for a week? It's like, so did everybody else. It's that you're seeking connection. But this isn't the way to do it. Instead of posting, go talk to somebody in the gym. It's like, that's way more scary than posting. And isn't that fucked up? That you're more scared to go talk to somebody in the gym than you are to post something on social media? That's crazy to me.
Really? I don't feel like that's crazy at all.
I think that's insane. Like, that shows how opposite our culture is now.
Well, because social media to me is like a one-way track. I'm not receiving anything back.
But I think that's what people are wanting that. I don't think people do see it as one-way track. They see it as like, this is 2 lanes. I'm putting something out. Things are going to come back to me. Mm. And then when nothing comes back, that's now making this whole thing even harder and worse for you because you're trying to get validation for what you're doing and nobody cares. So then you're either starting to fall off the train or you push harder and more. It's like all these people that got to talk about trauma and, all these victim things and narcissist things on social media. It's like they're just getting crazier and crazier or more extreme and more extreme to continue to get more and more attention and connection back. And they're just not getting it. And even if they are, it's like, that's not fulfilling because this isn't real. It's like, go talk to real people about it.
Mm-hmm. I think I agree and disagree with you. I think there's a part of that where you have to know which lane you're in or like how serious it is or not serious. Like, I think if people are actually mentally struggling, I do think there's a benefit sometimes to tell people. Because I think it also lets other people know the severity of what you're dealing with. It's like how many times do we listen to the comedians who are like, they killed themselves and we literally had no idea what was going on.
100%. But what people? Because posting on social media to whoever, I don't think has the value. If you're having mental health struggles, talk to people that love you.
What if people don't have that?
Find a therapist.
What if you can't pay for that?
Then talk to yourself. Talk to yourself like you're somebody else. I mean, I get it, like, but what are you going to do? Exactly. You got to find something that is going to give you some sort of value. And I just don't think social media is that. It's a black hole. It doesn't give anything back to you. This is something that I've completely, not the social media thing, but the like socialization and like social connection and human connection is something that I've completely changed my mind about. I think
in the last how many days?
No, probably a couple months. Like this, I think this is the big problem with what a lot of people are going through. Is you're trying to find all this through social media. People are exclusively dating through apps now. And everything's fine and dandy until you get face to face. And now you actually have to communicate. Now you actually have to create a relationship. It's like, that is proof right there. You can create a relationship on a phone, but then when you try to do it in person, you can't. It's like, yeah, because the phone thing is not real. Mm-hmm. When it comes down to it, you're going to have to talk to that person face to face, be with them, like in person, live together, do all of these things. That is what is going to have you be together or not. And I think it's the same thing with the mental health stuff. It's the same thing with fitness. The companies that are exclusively like Zoom or online or whatever, they don't last. Those people don't last doing them. They get a Peloton, they start doing it, and they fall off. And then they come back to it and they fall off. Come back to it, fall off. It's not a great success record of people actually going to the gym, but so much of success in all categories is a huge factor of it is, have you built a community there? Part of why people continue to go to the gym is because they know people that are there and have created connections and relationships with them. And they know that that person is probably there. And if I don't show up, then what are they going to say? What are they going to think? It's almost like a little bit of peer pressure. It's also why people get personal trainers, to have accountability. They know that they're there and that they have to go. But it's the same thing with friend groups and that sort of socialization, family, everything. You look at work. It's why the whole work from home thing is not helping people with mental health, because they're not going to their job, socializing with their coworkers, and being a part of that group. The more that you isolate yourself and get into the social media stuff and working out from home and, doing your job from home, all of the real life things start to deteriorate. So you want to go to the gym and get healthy, or you want to get healthy and live a healthier life, more fit, go to the gym, start talking to people there. Don't go to the gym and isolate yourself and then post on social media. That's not socialization. That's not going to keep you going. What's going to keep you going is talking to people at the gym. Mm-hmm. Just create a relationship with a front desk person. Just say, hey, hello, how are you? Whatever. What's your name? Cool. Now, every time you come in, hey, Sally, how are you? And you know one person. You can just know that one person for a week, 2 weeks, and then try to meet somebody else. That stuff is going to keep you going and going to keep you mentally healthier. It's the same thing with the therapy stuff. People go talk to the therapist and they come back and they post on social media. It's like, that's not making you better. What's going to make you better is talk to them, maybe try to apply the stuff that they're doing, but then also talking to somebody that you love and have a connection with about it. It's not talking to strangers on social media. They don't care about you.
Sure.
Your family does, or people, whoever it is that you are close enough with does. That's who you talk about these things with. It's what family dinners used to be. You sat around the table with nothing on, no social media, no nothing, and you talked about your day. You recapped everything. That's completely gone. All of the ways of human connection is completely gone. And everybody's unhappy. Everybody has depression, anxiety. Everybody needs a therapist. Everybody is overweight, unhealthy, bad blood markers, diabetes, whatever, name it. Like sedentary, everything. And I think a huge part of it is just human interaction. Everybody avoids it now, including myself. That's where I'm like, I'm switching this. Mm-hmm. Because for the last, I think about me in high school versus the next 5 years after that. I had way more fun in high school than the next 5 years. It's because I had more social interaction.
Yeah.
Like the 5 years after that, I didn't have any, or hardly any, or enough. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, there's a huge marker. I was arguably more fit. I was dialed into nutrition way more. Like, I was living bodily much healthier. Work was fine. But my social interaction with just humans was significantly lower.
Yeah.
And I think that's a easy thread to see through our culture now, is it's all online.
Yeah.
And there's no, hey, let's go out and about and whatever. I'm not saying you have to do it every time. I'm not going to be the person that's going to the bar and going around talking to everybody, trying to create relationships and bug people. But just saying hello, hi, how are you? Whatever, that stupid little small talk that everybody hates.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, but that's also something.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I agree with you. I think that's proven in so many different countries outside of our own.
Yeah.
Or like,
oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
Like, I think that's not like a off the wall thought. Like, people in other countries that still have community and still practice community and still like put in effort to uphold their community, like, they live the longest. It's like,
Yeah.
You take places in Europe, it's like they're drinking wine 3-5 times a day, they're taking naps, they're outside, they're walking, they're eating bread, but like they eat dinner together, they cook as a family, they talk to each other, like they know their neighbors, they go on walks with each other, they share food, they share, like, everything is, I don't even know like if we would know what a community is now.
Yeah.
That it is like, health is so a little piece of everything. It's like, why, you say like, yeah, okay, eating crap food or going out to eat and having a drink is not going to be better for your bodily health, but your mental health is a part of your health. And if that makes you happy and brings you joy is going to play a role in your body. I think where I still am just like, okay, but it is the, like, I get if social media is your absolutely only outlet, work on not having that be your only outlet. So I get that should not be the end all. I think if you're in a dire situation where you don't have family, you are on your own, you don't have coworkers, you don't have a therapist maybe, and you're like at the brink, do something, because then at least you even just putting it out there maybe makes you feel like you have some sort of hope or any little string that you can hold on to.
I disagree. I think the social media thing is going to crush you, because you're going to put something out there and nobody's going to respond. And that hurts way more than not putting anything at all.
But maybe it's not even about the response though. It's just about like putting it to words, the severity of maybe what you're feeling.
Then write in a journal. Why do you need to tell it? Like,
yeah, maybe. Okay.
Everything that's on social media can just be done in private, and it probably will give you more. It'll probably have you be happier than posting on social media. You want to take pictures and then print them out. Do what they used to do in the old days. You want to write something out that's emotional and whatever, write it in a journal. It's like social media is just the poor man's version of everything we already used to do.
Sure. And
it's just the attention seeking.
Yeah. I think for the posting workout pictures or videos, the only reason I do that, or I like doing that, and I'm conscious of why, it's like that little bit of, I really want to have a video. This will make me work out for today. On an average day today, no, I'm just going to do it because that's my structure. But like, if it's like, oh, I really don't want to, but I know if I will like taking a picture and then 6 months from now looking back of like, oh yeah, I looked pretty good, or like I liked that what I did, or I forgot about that workout, like I'm going to try that again. I maybe don't always post it, but just to have that, like, that's a little bit of my, like, my treat.
Yeah, do it and don't post it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the fact that that's so hard for people to like see as even worth it just shows how badly you want the attention. Like, it's not about the photo. It's about the attention.
But even if I like don't
Got out of that one.
there's something I don't know what it is with me with social media, because it's really not like the, oh, I want people to comment on it or like it or message me or whatever. Like, sometimes that's the downfall of like, oh, if I post this, I know I'm going to get something back, but I don't want to deal with that. It's just like a record keeping for me of
So
like getting to see the catalog of myself.
So keep a record on your phone.
I can't. Then I have to delete all my pictures and videos because I don't have storage. I put it on Instagram so I can delete it off my phone.
So print them out.
I can't print videos.
I mean, the storage thing,
weeds.
that's a really...
We're getting in the
you're
weeds.
stretching for reasons.
Getting in the weeds.
I'm sure there's an app that you can categorize your stuff or something.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
Or make a social media account and have it be private and don't let anybody follow you and don't follow anybody else and post in that.
Yeah.
0 followers, 0 following. Have your catalog there.
That's actually not a bad idea.
You're welcome.
I do think for me, I do like the part of it of like, especially the fitness stuff. I do feel like I feel positive with that, just like the podcast. Like, I feel like I'm putting positivity out there. Now, if it was, I don't know, like me in high school where I'm just like posting selfies.
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
think I'm like spreading the word with that. That's just like, yeah, I like this picture. Here it is. I think I look really good. That's it. But that is like the fitness stuff, where if I post about whatever, like,
I think you're going to have more of a positive impact by taking all of the effort and energy that you do into, not you specifically, but into social media that you would do and do it out in the real world. You're going to have more of a positive impact. If you're like, I just want to post something positive today, it's like, then go do something positive to somebody, for somebody, say something to them. Like, that's going to be more impactful than your post.
but what if you don't have like connection with people? Like, I feel positivity when I look at like the girls Gymshark page and just like seeing all these super fit, ripped, huge girls. It's like, I get so much joy like scrolling through that before a workout or whatever. Like, it amps me up. It's like, I'm never gonna see those people out and about. It's like, whether it's inspiring or it's like just cool to watch.
Sure. I don't know. I don't have something for that. I think there's a difference between, like, we were talking about posting to where now you're talking about just scrolling through Instagram or whatever.
But I think like
that I think can be okay.
That's maybe what I think I'm doing. It's like, oh, I'm putting the information that I like to see. I'm putting that out there. Like, I'm putting more into the good bucket.
The real answer that's extreme, and if I haven't lost everybody already, is going to lose everybody, is that's a piss poor motivation. Like, you need better motivation tactics then.
But isn't that so subjective? It's like I already have all the other things. It makes me feel good to feel good. I like working out because I know it's for my health. I like working out because it's going to make me, be able to live my days easier. It's just what you're supposed to do. It's like I don't not have those. It's just like, oh, that was a cool workout. I like that. Or, oh, it's cool seeing her do that. Like,
yeah, sure.
To me, that's just like an extra thing that like sometimes is cool.
To me, you're just it's the risk versus reward. That's just high risk to me.
Okay.
And I would say for most people.
Sure.
Because that Gymshark thing's not the only thing that you're seeing.
No.
So you have to scroll through 10 bullshit
mom complaints.
quotes, mom complaints to get to the Gymshark workout.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the subconscious doing though?
Sure. Yeah.
Got out of that one.
I agree. I agree and disagree.
We just solved another problem.
I don't think we did. I think we're very much on either side of the fence, but
We are.
it was a good
35. We were like 35 for 35 on problems. Just solving them left and right.
That last one, there was no solution, but it was a good discussion.
Oh, I gave plenty of solutions.
I don't think you did.
Be more like me. That's the solution. Wear purple. Wear shorter shorts.
Get outside, say hi to people, talk to people.
Get some glasses.
I can't wait to see this new version of you with this not hating everybody version.
I feel like you've already seen some of it.
Yeah, but just like, what does that like? It's kind of like, what does this test version of you look in every situation? It's like I haven't been in every situation with you in the last couple months.
But you literally have. Haven't been apart a single second for like the last 4 months.
Oh, let's get out of here.
All right, let's go for a walk. Bye.